You're watching MCTV, MississippiCoastTV.com.
Hi everyone, thank you for remembering End Times in America is supposed to be on here on a regular basis. I have been struggling with a couple of different health problems. Nothing serious, just minor things, but literally I had no voice for 3 days. I mean, I could not talk, and I spent several days babying my voice so I could actually do a radio broadcast last week on Saturday. So since that program and Sunday, I was able to get back to church, and I actually did a presentation Sunday afternoon on the topic that we went and trained for in Ohio. Now, what I want to tell you is I am not an expert on this topic, and when Rev's asking me to tell all about it, it's very difficult to do a 5-day conference on satanic ritual abuse. You can imagine there are a lot of things that were presented, a lot of information, and some of it may be a little bit hard for people to handle. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about documented cases, primarily the ones that are so hard to deal with, although they're all horrendous, is the ones involving young children. So we became aware and followed through several cases that involve kids, and some of them that were resolved and others that are still in the phases of attempting to get courts to follow up and stand by the verdicts that were given. The sad thing is, in cases of satanic ritual abuse, there has become a defense that they call the satanic panic. When you say something is a panic, you know, it's so cute, satanic panic, what they mean is, oh, we know Satan isn't real. People are just getting hysterical over something that is a fantasy. Well, I want you to know that most people have grown up in their life with some kind of idea that there are forces of good and evil. If nothing else, they know that some people tend to be good in their behavior, and some people tend to be bad in their behavior. So if you don't want to believe there's good and evil in the spiritual realm, at least most people can acknowledge that not every person is good. We'd like to think they are, but the amazing thing is the Bible tells us that all people are sinners. The degree to which someone might be under the influence of a demonic entity, a spiritually dark force, varies. But the truth is, unless you really know Jesus Christ, you're not going to know or recognize when things are tipping in a direction that become dangerous. So let me just give you some examples. There are a lot of cults out there where children are forced into marriages at extremely young ages. Polygamous groups, for example, expect to start setting up their kids for marriages sometimes as early as 12 to 14 years old. They're already being courted and assigned to be married to a husband. That is polygamous cults, primarily started in Utah, but now have spread not only into Mexico and into Canada, but actually we're not really sure how far those cults extend. But you might have seen a television program called Escaping Polygamy. Well, let me tell you something. What goes on in these polygamist groups is every bit as wrong to treat children that way as if someone was sexually molesting a child. But yet, under the guise and the banner of their religious beliefs, mostly this stuff is left alone. That's why people have to escape from it. I know that even back in the early 80s, maybe 82, 83, I encountered a 15-year-old girl that was attempting to escape from a polygamous group. And this is back in the 80s. Now, fortunately, there actually are many polygamists who've escaped, and those people are helping others to escape. But that's just one example of how certain religious groups can become the place where they're talking about religion, and yet what they're doing is literally evil. We also know in Islam, children can be married at any age, and they can be sexually active with a husband who can buy them or who can capture them and own them as a slave as young as 9 years old. This is a real tragedy for children. But I will let you know something. It's not just those polygamous groups, and it's not just the Muslims or the Islamic groups that practice these things. Many different cults that call themselves Christian fall into similar kinds of patterns. My belief is, and again, it is my opinion, and yet the Bible, I think, bears it out, that children are a target of evil because Satan hates the innocence of children. I also believe that is why abortion has gone crazy in America for the last 30 years. And because of the killing of innocent babies in the womb, it has now become debatable in certain states that a child who is born possibly could be killed after they're born if the mother actually wanted to abort it in the first place. Don't you find it strange when people don't want to believe in evil or Satan, but we've got politicians saying, maybe a child up to the age of, 1 or 2 or 3 actually really could be aborted after they're born. I mean, does this come from God? Does this come from the Bible? Does it come from Jesus Christ and Christians who are filled with the Holy Spirit? No, it's not. It's coming from something else, completely different. And that's why I want you to think about it. Satan is real. Yes, there are certain groups that literally worship Satan, and they have ritual torture of children, sexually torturing them. That is real. And just as I'm telling you, some of these things are gruesome and they're horrifying, and we don't want to hear about them. But this is what I'm going to say finally. I want you to know that whether you believe these things go on or not, they do. And whether you want to know about it or you don't want to know about it, because maybe you're so tender-hearted you really don't want to hear what's being done in these horrendous situations for children. All of them I named and many more. But you don't want to know because your heart is too tender. Okay, I will grant you, you don't have to go and be exposed to exactly what's being done. But God's heart is far more tender than yours. And Jesus Christ is watching this every day. He does not sleep, he does not slumber, and his eye is always on what is going on with these poor, innocent children. And that's why I'm telling you, we need to speak up against things that are evil on their face. Don't promote to your children horror movies. Don't promote to your children the idea that Satan is just a big joke. Don't promote to your children the practices of witchcraft or wizardry. These are called abominations in the Bible, and it's amazing how Satan has made all these things seem like they're just fun and games. When I talk about end times in America, I will bring up the fact that as we enter end times in America, Satan's going to bring up more and more and more different things in society that are designed to destroy people's souls, condemn them to hell, and literally kill, steal, and destroy. He doesn't care how old you are or how young you are. His goal is to destroy you. And that's what the Bible tells us about the end times, that Satan will come against those who believe in him more powerfully than ever, but he'll also come against those who don't know Jesus Christ, and he'll come against them attempting to destroy their lives, kill them, or steal everything they have. God bless you. I hope you take a little bit of wisdom on this. Be cautious how you acknowledge the time around Halloween. And if you're a believing Christian, pray. Because I remember when my kids were little, we started, this is back in the 70s, started seeing this whole gamut of people that would give poison to children, put needles in candy, put razor blades and glass in candy because they wanted to hurt children. And that's what I'm telling you. This time of year, from now through about November the 4th, 5th, these are times when you may see people celebrating Halloween as a religious holiday and celebrating the evil that is represented in the Bible as false gods, Satan himself, and the celebration of everything Antichrist. Thanks for listening. Christy Johnson with End Times in America on MississippiCoastTV.com.
You're watching MCTV, MississippiCoastTV.com.